Good day, everyone. Today, I will be your lecturer for the special topics on medicinal chemistry. I am Ferlin May Brieta, and I am a faculty of the College of Pharmacy and Chemistry in UIC. So, for our special topics for today, it is about the medicinal chemistry of drugs affecting the nervous system. What is medicinal chemistry? So, medicinal chemistry is a field that studies the structure activity relationship of our drugs. So, the activity that the drug exhibits into your body is or respond or relies on the structure or the structural component of each drug. Medicinal chemistry is an area which helps us understand pharmacology better. So it can help us improve also our understanding why drugs exhibit adverse drug reactions in our patient's body. Now let us recall the basic of our nervous system. Nervous system are the one who will modulate our neurotransmissions, or these are the one who control our neurotransmitters. So nervous system is divided into two. These are the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So the central nervous system comprises with our brain and the spinal cord. So our brain is the one that generates or that the one provides information all throughout the body, and the spinal cord relays the information going down towards our peripheral nervous system. So the peripheral nervous system is divided into two. Our autonomic nervous system, which is commonly called ANS, and then the somatic nervous system. So the autonomic nervous system is responsible for the involuntary action of our body. So this autonomic nervous system has sympathetic and parasympathetic division. While the somatic nervous system, these are the ones that are responsible for the skeletal muscles. Now this is a figure showing us the intricate members of our nervous system. So I have already introduced to you the central nervous system, our brain, and our spinal cord, the peripheral nervous system on the other side, which has motor neurons and sensory neurons. So the motor neurons are the one responsible for our internal organs and our skeletal muscle. For the sensory neurons, from the word itself, it is responsible for the organs that perceive sense, or the sensory organs. Now, for the motor neurons, we have the somatic. It was mentioned earlier. It controls voluntary movements of our skeletal muscles. And autonomic nervous system, it controls our smooth muscle or our internal organs. So our internal organs does not need any stimulus to make them work. For example, our heart, our stomach, our small intestine, large intestine, pancreas, liver, kidneys, they do not they do not need external impulse to make them work. They just involuntarily respond or involuntarily work together for our body to function. So autonomic nervous system is divided into two, the sympathetic division and the parasympathetic division. So the sympathetic division is responsible for the fight or flight system, and the parasympathetic division is about rest or digest. Okay, for the autonomic nervous system, it is divided into sympathetic and parasympathetic. So our sympathetic means fight or flight because it exhibits actions that triggers our adrenaline, while parasympathetic talks about rest and digest. So these two divisions these two divisions affect our smooth muscles or our internal organs in different manner. So for example, with our eyes, in parasympathetic and sympathetic, it has different action. So if our eyes, our pupil there will be controlled or activated by sympathetic nerves. It will dilate, meaning to say if there is emergency or if there is urgent situation, we tend to focus more with the things that we see. So our pupils dilate to allow us to focus things. While parasympathetic, it will allow our pupils to constrict. Okay. Now for our saliva, I want you to research on that. So all throughout our session, I will give questions for you to answer. So for question number one, what will be the effect of the function or the effect of saliva and the salivary glands when parasympathetic and sympathetic innervation occurs? Now with the heart, so we are all aware if sympathetic division is activated, our heart will have accelerated heartbeat. While parasympathetic, because as it says, is rest and digest, our heartbeat will slow down. Now in terms of our lungs, our bronchi, if sympathetic fight or flight is activated, our bronchi, or if there's an emergency, we need more air so that we can sustain our energy. So our bronchi dilates, while with parasympathetic, our bronchi constricts. Now, in terms of peristalsis in our stomach and our intestines, so during sympathetic innervation, our peristalsis and our secretion are being uh, inhibited by our sympathetic nerves. So, walang peristalsis na mangyayari during sympathetic innervation. While when we activate or our body will have parasympathetic innervation, there will be stimulation of peristalsis and there will be digestion. Now, for the second question, I want you to look for the action of our bile, our pancreas, when sympathetic and parasympathetic innervation is activated. Now let's move on to our urinary bladder. So if we have sympathetic innervation, we have to contract our bladder. So there is inhibition of the sphincter so that hindi kayo maka-feel ng urgency to urinate. And then if parasympathetic, it contracts. Why it contracts? Because it will allow us to void. So pwede tang when we rest, that's the time we can feel the urge to void or maka-feel tayo na pumunta ng CR, mag-ihi, or magtae. So that is the parasympathetic rest and digest. So you write your answer and about the salivary gland and about our pancreas and bile for their parasympathetic and sympathetic innervations. Now let's move forward to comparison of somatic and autonomic system. So the main difference between the somatic and autonomic system is in what target tissues are effectors. So somatic responses are solely based on skeletal muscle contraction, while autonomic system, it targets again our organ system or our internal organs, the cardiac and the smooth muscle, as well as our glandular tissues. So for the organs supplied, here we have skeletal muscle for somatic and all other organs for autonomic. So with regards to the distal most of the synapse, our somatic is within the central nervous system, while in our autonomic, it's mostly outside in the CNS. Now with the nerve fibers, our somatic have myelinated nerve fibers, while our autonomic nervous system, the preganglionic part is myelinated, while the postganglionic part is non-myelinated. In terms of peripheral plexus, the somatic nervous system has no peripheral plexus, while our autonomic system have peripheral plexus formation. Now, with the efferent transmitter, so you have to remember, class, what is the neurotransmitter involved in our peripheral nervous system, especially in somatic and autonomic. Efferent transmitter, we have acetyl acetylcholine for somatic, and for autonomic, we have both acetylcholine and noradrenaline. So acetylcholine is the chief neurotransmitter of the parasympathetic nervous system. So this is the part of autonomic nervous system that contracts smooth muscles, dilate blood vessels, and increases bodily secretions and slow heart rate. So it is both present in our somatic and autonomic. So noradrenaline, on the other hand, or norepinephrine, in other words, is a neurotransmitter in both of our peripheral and central nervous system. So it affects again our body, the most associated fight or flight, um, fight or flight mode, which responds to, for example, if we perceive danger or if we are faced with emergency situation. So noradrenaline and adrenaline, these are catecholamines. So meaning catecholamines, they are naturally produced by our body. So they are synonymous with each other, see, noradrenaline and norepinephrine. So um, this neurotransmitter is very abundant in our sympathetic nervous system. So I have mentioned that noradrenaline is synonymous to epinephrine. So your norepinephrine is continuously released into our circulation at low levels, while on the other hand, the epinephrine is only released during times of stress. So it's both a hormone and a neurotransmitter of our sympathetic nervous system. So epinephrine is also known as the adrenaline. So this is the background or the introduction of our nervous system. This is the first part of our special topics on medicinal chemistry on nervous system drugs. So the next part will be about the main topic, medicinal chemistry of our peripheral nervous system.